every political rally in this country is mobilized by money.
All
There
right.
are no organic crowds in politics. I don't think debt is bad. Debt is only bad if it is mismanaged. And a lot of the concerns that people have is that there has been a culture of borrowing which is not tied to development projects. And that's why you
Yes.
will find that a lot of the proponents of absconding odious debt now say that if we cannot see where the money went to, then we ought not to pay.
Yeah.
So that's the argument that a lot of people are saying. But debt in and of itself is not bad. Every nation, there's no debt-free nation.
All right.
The States has debt, China has debt. Siku yenye nitaona Simba Arati ameingia rally ya Linda Mwananchi, then nitaanza kusema tuko kwa shida kama chama. Siku ndaona Gladys Wanga ameingia pale kwa podium, ama nimeona Abdul Swamad, nimeona hapo sasa Junet Mohamed amesema kitu yenyu vile naona, wacha niende Linda Mwananchi. When I start seeing, nikiona Joho amesema hii kitu sitoboi, nikiona OP ametoka hapo amesema sasa mimi nataka kusimama na kijana yetu ya Western, then I'll take it seriously.
What's up? How you doing? Mambo vipi once again. Welcome back to AMTV. I'm your chairman, Alex Mwakide, and it's always a pleasure to have you here. Yani kama umechagua AMTV na uko hapa, you're the reason why we are still here, doing what we are doing. We are over 100 episodes at the moment. We are 1 year plus at the moment. 1 year, I think, going to 1 year, 2 weeks or something. It's all because of you. Shukran sana. We are cruising nicely. 150,000 subscribers in a year. That's pretty nice, and it's because of you. Kama bado huja subscribe, please subscribe. Keep sharing, keep commenting, keep engaging us katika AMTV. Hiyo ndio inatupatia nguvu zaidi. Now, a few days ago, tulikuwa na Boniface Mwangi, ukweli party leader, right here. Amekaa katika AMTV. You know, and his dreams akatuambia ndoto zake, vitu anataka, the Kenya he wants to see. And there's so many comments katika hiyo YouTube video ama episode yake katika YouTube. Kama hujai watch, you can also watch it, of course, after watching this one. So tulia usiende mahali. Peter Dhuko alisema, Mwakideu, I'm loving how great your show has progressed. I love your personal journey from BBC, sikuwahi kuwa BBC, to how you really shaped Heavy J. Your professionalism is everything to go by, your ethics line of questioning, and how you're starting to shape national and international debate. This was a great show. Loved the intensive questioning. Boniface has raised critical points, and his answers are better than what Kalonzo gave us. Pale katika ile TV nyingine. Katika NTV, all right. What I would like is a seasoned debate between him and senior politicians, but as prudent answers at his fingertips. I would love for you to interview Professor Githu Muigai. Hey, that would be a good one, eh? Yeah. I have so much respect for Professor Githu Muigai. Eliud Oginia says, tulete Willis Otieno, alafu baadaye Jimmy Wanjigi. All right, I hear you guys. And I love the direction you guys want this podcast to take. That's the way to go, by the way. Jimmy Wanjigi, Willis Otieno, nimewaeka katika rada. TJRC report should be implemented together with the Ndungu report. Uyo ni Musembi Thenge. Anasema hivyo pale. Then we have Maurice Mari. Anasema kwamba you asked good questions, bro. Every politician so visionary when looking for votes, but becomes someone else afterwards. We should be voting every 2 years. I can give Bonnie one credit for Power 254. I learned script writing there, and we used to be given refreshments, and I learned something. Why do you call for such interviews knowing how well the visitor will talk and then censor them? It doesn't make sense, bro. Kuna mtu alimcensor Bonnie? I think Bonnie aliachilia kuachilia. But thank you so much, Maurice Mari pale katika mtandao wa YouTube. Now today, We have one of the fastest rising politicians. Rising still? No. I don't know whether. Well, okay, tuseme tu ni politician ambaye alirise. He got into it. Na akarise so fast. And right now, yuko katika ODM. Mrengo wa ODM. Kiongozi wa vijana pale katika ODM. And now when we talk about ODM, we talk about ODM 1 ODM. There is no longer ODM Linda Mwananchi and ODM Linda Ground. Because right now, Linda Mwananchi wanatafuta chama chao, wametoka katika ODM. So when we talk about ODM, ni ODM moja ambao kiongozi wake ni Mheshimiwa Oburu Odinga ambaye yeye ni senator wa Siaya County. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give it up kwa mzee wa kazi, Kasmuel McOure. Hey, my brother. I love your style, bro.
Asante. As do I yours.
Lakini
Colors are
Kasmuel
very well
unapiga
coordinated. Hata wewe
pamba. Au unapiga look, bro.
No, asante.
Unaipiga.
I appreciate it, brother.
You know, this is where I want, when I grow up, this is where I want to be. This is exactly where I want to be.
You're too kind.
Yeah?
You're too kind.
Who does your suits, bro?
I do them. Like I told you, I used to be in suits, but now, of course, not as actively. But yeah, I still maintain my connections in the.
When you say you used to be in
textile.
suits, you mean you're the one?
Yes.
who
I
actually
used to have an entire line before 2024. I used to do that in music.
All right.
Yeah.
Is this like your
This is
suit?
one of those. Yeah, it's a really old one. Did it kitambo sana?
This is an amazing suit,
Yeah,
bro.
no, asante.
Kali
I
sana.
appreciate it.
The fit and everything, the
Thanks.
lines,
Thanks.
the way they've been tailored.
Yeah.
Inakaa fiti sana, plus the
Asante. I
tie.
appreciate it, man.
Inakaa
You're a kind
fiti.
man.
Alafu afro vile vile. How do you keep your hair so neat every single day? What do you do?
Man, it's just water.
Really?
Water, a competent, and then sheen spray.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow, amazing. Kasmuel, karibu sana katika MTV once again.
Asante.
Straight away,
Yeah.
and I'm here looking at you, and I've looked at you, and I've seen you from the first day during the demonstrations. Rise pale. We've even done an interview together.
Yes.
Kule katika Radio 47. And right now, you're a member of ODM. I think, were you a member then?
I
No?
was, but not as actively as I am now.
All right.
Yeah.
So right now, you're an active member
Yeah.
of ODM pale katika masuala ya vijana. You're one of the leaders there.
Yeah.
How does it feel? How did it feel when you made that move? Because you were there championing for young people and change. Na watu wakakuona, and a lot of young people saw you, wakaona hope, wakaona future. From the way you picked up then to now, naweza kuona kama Kasmuel angekuwa pale mahali kwa kina Sifuna kule. Are you getting?
Yes, I see what
I
you
see
mean.
you there. I see
Okay.
you there. And then you switched immediately. And every time you post, I want to comment. And when I look at the comments there, wase tu wamejam na wewe paka kesho. People people hate you on social media. You see that, right?
Yeah.
How does it feel, bro?
Oh man, I think it's for me. It's not. I don't take it personally because
All right.
politics is a highly emotive subject in this country.
Kweli?
And people are entitled to their opinions. And you see, for me, it's one of those things where a lot of people seem to think that they would make different decisions when faced with the set of circumstances I was faced with. And the pivot was gradual. Of course, the time I pivoted officially into ODM was in October 2024, just after Rigaji's impeachment. And I think that's when things probably started going downhill. There could be various factors where I could say, oh, this is why I think it went awry. But I mean, if you're going to be under public scrutiny, you accept both the praise and the criticism. So for me, I've never really taken it personally. Yeah.
But then again, you are darling of the people.
Yeah.
You know, when you are against this government, you are darling of the people. People used to see your videos, your photos. People would look forward to see you getting into interviews, talking things about this government. You don't miss that?
I don't miss it because I've continued to live the life. It's just that it was what the time required. You know, at that time, it was 2024 was a crazy year.
Yeah.
I think hata mimi sijaweza kuidebrief vizuri because
Yeah.
it was wild. I'm telling you, you're going from living a regular life as a teacher, as a person who's in the textile industry, and then now suddenly the whole country is looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really just, I wish people did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We'd meet at, for example, UKC. We sit down, we're strategizing. We're saying tomorrow, this is how we're going to occupy the city. You know, guys, there's drinks, there's, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just like, yeah, that's what the time demanded. But it could not be sustained because if that was to be the case, then we would have seen people consistently over there. And me, when I shouldn't campaign, I say, come on. I think, liberating a country cannot be vested on one person's shoulders. In a leaderless, tribeless, partyless movement, you can't be mad at one person forever. Yeah, unless now you had said that this is the leader. I think, that's how I see it. I'm like, hakuna msee anywhere alinipatia pesa, akaniambia, this is what we want to do. And there's no place I ever stood and said, oh, you know what, I'm the leader of this thing. So I'm exercising my constitutional democratic rights.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt guilty?
No, not one bit.
For real?
Not one bit, man. Never at all. Because you see, for me, it's never been, I didn't do anything illegal. I'm not doing anything that betrayed my principles.
All right.
Yeah, so it's very easy. I mean, you can deal, you can't be loved by everybody. And I remember when I met Baba, at some point, I was complaining. There's a day tulikuwa kwa Standard, kwa newspaper, sisi wawili. I think it was 25th, 2025, because I was in the States at the time. Calling him Excellency. I was so sad and I'm so depressed. I'm like, Excellency, I've seen what they've put in the papers, these people. And he told me, they're not going to love you. Not everybody's going to love you. But you just have to find the few people who believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And stay committed to your goals. Do you actually believe in the cause that you're fighting for? Yeah. Because I've not changed my stance on corruption. I've not changed my stance on police brutality. I've not changed my stance on the audit of the national debt.
Yeah.
So because these things have not changed for me, there's no place I'm at variance with what I believed in.
But then again, right now, and right now as we speak, the things you're talking about, corruption, police brutality, the national debt and everything you're talking about, these are things that this government, Bado, is a huge challenge. And you've decided to work with this government.
Yeah.
What's changed?
So I think by the time, and I think it has to be viewed in the right lens. By the time the MOU is being signed between ODM and UDA, it was after a period, now tumetoka streets.
Okay.
Everybody has gone to the streets. And there's something I used to say. I really hated about our movement. There was no one who was willing to take accountability and say that I am the guy who's leading these people to the streets. And so you find that with that, you can't pin a life on anybody. So of course, nobody can, hawendi ukijua maisha ya huyu iko kwa mikono yangu. You see, for example, when Baba would go to the streets, we knew that Baba ndio amepeleka hawa watu kwa streets. But you see, when it was time for gains, for example, if we are, sazile tumenyorosha serikali, the victory is collective. But when people are dying, they're dying on their own. And guys like me, we never died, man. The worst thing that happened to me is I almost got shot. And everybody, when you tulikuwa nao kwa front lines, none of us died. Like the worst that happened to us is our lives changed, or I lost the job as I was doing and whatnot because of political exposure. But we're alive. And I kept on saying, it cannot be that our work as the people who are in the front line is to take the children of the working poor to meet their untimely deaths without a clear goal. Because, you can't sort out national debt using a protest. You can't protest national debt. Unfortunately, remember, and two, the other thing is...
When you can push for a conversation, right?
Even if you push for a conversation, we're looking at the wrong side. Wakide, there's nothing you can do with this platform that will affect national debt. National debt can only be sorted out in Parliament.
All right.
But you see, a lot of people...
But this platform can make Parliament start the discussion.
Yes.
All
However,
right.
it would be very unfair if a Kenyan looked at you and asks you, what are you doing with your platform to affect national debt?
Okay.
Despite the fact that we have an elected house of 290 plus 12, about 300 and something legislators in total. I think we should have leveraged dialogue earlier. I think less lives would have been lost. This is not to say that, because the other thing that people usually say is these are victims of protests. Protests don't kill people. People are killed by rogue police. It's the police that kill people. So that is an area of accountability that we cannot run away or shy away from. And it's an area that I've consistently said that if these people can be brought to book, they ought to be brought to book. Because you find that the issue that took us to the street was a legitimate issue.
All right.
They were bad bills from 2023 and into 2024.
All right.
Of course, now when you understand it from a bird's eye perspective, you see that there was also a hidden hand in terms of a political agenda. But after the finance bill fell, what else is this that you would say was tying us to each other? We didn't have, for example, a common ideological goal. What we went to the streets to do, we had achieved. But guys were still dying. And I kept on saying, man, I'm sick and tired of lending my name consistently. Guys are dying, and the best that we can do is go and cover their coffins with flags. And then we don't see the families again. Personally, if there's one thing I followed up on, kabisa, and I'm very, very happy it has come to fruition, was the issue of compensation, for example, of victims of police brutality. I mean, it does not restore a life.
Yeah.
But it shows some sort of acknowledgement. You saw the president say that, one, he is sorry, and he said it in status, I was so shocked. And he said that never again should we as a country get to the point where people are being ordered to harm other citizens. So personally, as a private citizen, because I'm not an elected member of parliament, I think I pushed the needle as far as I could. So that's why I'm at peace. There's no guilt within my conscience.
But then again, now I ask myself, you fought for that,
right?
And you still feel bad about police brutality, about national debt, about corruption, but you're working with the same government at the moment. And as we speak right now, even as President said that this should never happen again,
right?
Look at what happened in Olkalau, for example. Masked men still came in, wakabrusha matia gas na makadhalika. This thing keeps happening. It keeps on happening. Kila wakati it keeps on happening. President ataongea, Minister of Interior ataongea, Mheshimiwa Murkomen ataongea pale, IG ataongea, but then when something happens, boom, you see the masked men again, magari ziko bila number plate, system ya kijambazi tu inarudi tena pale. And now Kasmuel, who doesn't like that, is still working with the same government. That's why I'm asking, ni nini hiyo ambayo walikuitia huko yenye ukasema hapa sasa? What was so good about yani unasema tu let me just join them.
Right.
National debt is still there, is still at the moment tunasikia President Ruto amekopesha almost 4 trillion in a period of 4 years only. 4 something, people are asking themselves, hiyo pesa ilienda wapi? Kasmuel doesn't like that, but bado yuko naye President Ruto. Corruption is still on the other level kule. The other day, this country was named as one of the countries that is so corrupt. Tumezidi kuwa corrupt zaidi. Bado uko pale. Police brutality, in fact, right now, watu wanakufuata kwa police station. Watu wanadai ndani ya police station. The IG said something about it, I think, yesterday. Bado uko pale. Why are you still there? What is keeping you there?
No, personally, I'm there because of, I think in the Kenyan project, and a lot of people are free to express their opinion. I think, excuse me, the safest pair of hands that to steer the country into what we hope it should be is President Ruto's hands. I've looked across the divide, the political divide. I don't see a viable option that would lead us to achieve the results that we're looking for in the country. Something like police brutality, part of the radical reforms I was hoping, and I hope come to fruition in our lifetime, is that if an offending police officer, for example, is found, and we realize that this is the guy who's shooting protesters, they should be charged with the OCS, the commanding officer of the station. But if that starts, police are going to sober up really quickly. And I'm saying this knowing that it's not the entire police force.
Of
Because
course.
there's been a lot of reform, and sometimes where the point I'm at variance with activists or trying to seem popular to the country is, you find, for example, last year, 2025, in October, there's a morning, the morning which Baba passed, there were some 8 laws that were signed.
Yes, yes,
8
yes,
bills
yes.
that were signed into law. And everybody was out there doing press conferences. Maraga akaita press conference, akasema, you see, there are some draconian laws that have been passed. But I'll just highlight one. One of the laws that had been passed was the law for ensuring that there's mental well-being support for police officers, that there's psychosocial support, and just an increase in their living conditions. The funny thing, that law, it was born out of the Maraga task force. Like, that is the thing. When he was asked, the president said, "Hey, we think you've been a useful person to the nation. Please give us recommendations." Those recommendations were the recommendations that were signed to law. But you see, if you side with the president, you become unpopular. And people are afraid of unpopularity. You know, in politics, people feel like, oh, you know, when I'm popular, then it's easier to navigate. But sometimes we just have to do the right thing, even if it's unpopular.
All right.
If you're examining debt, for example, a lot of people want to make it look like Kenya Kwanza has really upset our ledger. But the part which we don't speak about honestly is that this is a government that inherited about 6 trillion in debt. And remember, debt does not get wiped off the national ledger because you've changed a president. It is not forgotten.
Yeah.
So you inherit the principal, you inherit the futures, you inherit the maturities.
Yeah.
So the interest payments, and then remember what the Constitution says, I don't know, come in Article 43, is that it gives credence to the consolidated fund. Debt is given first priority. So sometimes, even if watu wanalia that, for example, they're not seeing development in other aspects, just constitutionally, national debt takes precedence from a constitutional standpoint. So, like, there's a lot of things which you would ask.
Tunakopa kulipa deni?
Yes, of
Is that what
course.
is happening right now?
Of
Sorry.
course. Yeah, there could be aspects of kukopa kulipa deni, but we are from our revenue ourselves. You know, in terms of tax, for a country whose budget, say budget to make go 4 trillion
4
thereabout,
trillion, you're going to 5.
but collection is about 2.9. Yeah, you ingine na jazwaji. Of course, you borrow locally, domestically, and then you borrow externally. Then unapata presidents passed because you know that you might be out of office. Like, there's a Eurobond that matured in 2024. It was not borrowed when Ruto was president. You understand? So part of it is righting the wrongs that were there from the past. And there's a lot of conversation sometimes. You want to blame the president and say, you know, sometimes I hear people say something like, SHA is not working. I think it's an unfair analysis. We would just say that maybe it's not working half as well as we would want it to work. But if you think about it, in comparison to NHIF, for example, NHIF had registered maybe 7 million people.
Yeah.
SHA has 32 million. So maybe what I would say in terms of improvement, because the biggest challenge I see facing SHA is a cancer patient, if they're supposed to go for 8 rounds, that they are only afforded 4 rounds before they are told that there are no drugs. And the drugs that are being sold to the hospitals are being sold at very exorbitant prices because we have a law from the Procurement Act, I think it's for 2015, where you have to source it through a Kenyan. So the government could very easily buy cheap medication from countries like India, for example, but no, you have to buy it from a local supplier. If we sort out that Procurement Act, 32 million Kenyans, I think, is like close to 6 times, 5 times what the previous system
NHIF
used to
had.
do. Yes, so it's looking at how can we ensure that these things are working while also onboarding the people. Because even if you have the best reforms, if you're not going with the people, if the buy-in is low, it becomes really difficult to carry people along.
All right.
And I feel like the public buy-in is low because the people who know are not, they're not walking the talk. Nobody's saying that this is what it is. You see, for example, mtu akisema story ya education. You find someone like President Kibaki is really lauded for free primary education and whatnot.
Yes.
And you see the backdrop from where that was coming is previously, I think, I was not born then, But I remember vaguely towards the end of that is after Moi, during Moi's time, maybe education was limited to the eldest son of a family. That one now would be sent to school. I used to hear stories like those ones.
Okay, hiyo time pia sikukuwa. I mean, I'm the last born.
Oh, yeah.
Nilikuwa wakati wa Moi.
Okay.
Right now I'm 46 years old.
Oh, interesting.
Na nilisoma tu time ya Moi fiti. And the last born in a family of 22 children.
Hey, interesting.
So nilisoma tu fiti. And all of us went to school.
Yeah.
So maybe
So
that's
you find
not true
something
because
like education, for example.
Yeah.
I know that there used to be challenges around there. But
and Moi did quite well.
Quite well
with
in
education.
education,
Yeah.
but
Because
even-
he started so many schools.
Yes.
Akapeleka girls schools, Moi
Right.
girls. There was so many Moi girls,
Yes.
Moi girls everywhere.
yes.
Yeah.
Then you find that now when Kibaki comes in, you think that what walikuwa wana people usually make the argument. You see us when we were going to university, we even being paid. Kulikuwa na boom. But how many people were joining university then? Of course, it would be easy. Then Kibaki comes in, and Britain used to splurge a lot of money. Unapata kulikuwa na about 55 million pounds. Umepatiwa na the Department of Foreign International Development. Wamerusha pesa huku. People like Ford Foundation, like it was the donor era where people used to get a lot of money. Unapata mtu kama Saitoti.
Yeah.
Saitoti, the British public was very mad. Wanasema, these people are vomiting at us. Because Saitoti had been implicated in the Goldberg saga. And after that, it seems like the British government has just given him, a 60 million pound check to just wash, and there was a lot of corruption at the time as well. But it's time for bootstrapping. Our education system, for example, cannot depend on donor funding forever. So we just have to sit down, as uncomfortable as it is.
Question I'm asking myself right now. You see, like a lot of Kenyans are asking, and I get this question so many times, especially when I'm doing my radio show. What wanauliza president right now, ikiwa amekopa that amount of money in 4 years, and at the same time, Kenyans are saying, unakopa huku that amount of money, 4+ trillion shillings in a 4 years period. Lakini at the same time, when you talk about affordable housing, for example, bado you come to us. Tukupatie pesa ndo ujenge you affordable. So now, huku umekopa. When you talk about SHA, you still come to us. Tukupatie pesa ndo urani yo SHA. Huku unakopa. When you want to do your roads, you still go to our money kwa NSSF. Take some money from our NSSF. Huku bado unakopa. This amount of money that unakopa ufanyie nini? What exactly are you doing with the monies that you're taking?
Yeah.
Because road maintenance ipo. Katika every time unaenda katika petrol station, are you getting a lot of yeah. So where is this money going to? Apart from kulipa deni?
I think if you think about it, I'm just trying to get the accurate figure. If you think about our collection, I was just trying to see how much our wage bill takes.
Yeah.
Out of that 2.9 trillion, the amount that goes on salaries alone is like 1 point something
Trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 1.8, 1.9 thereabout. Like, so where's the money for development? What are you going to allocate? If people expect 700 billion to go to education, for example, let's say you want to give 1 trillion to healthcare, your person atoka wapi. So a lot, of course, debt. I don't think debt is bad. Debt is only bad if it is mismanaged. And a lot of the concerns that people have is that there has been a culture of borrowing which is not tied to development projects. And that's why you will find that a lot of the proponents of absconding odious debt now say that if we cannot see where the money went to, then we ought not to pay.
Yeah.
So that's the argument that a lot of people are saying. But debt in and of itself is not bad. Every nation, there's no debt-free nation.
All right.
The States has debt, China has debt.
Yeah.
But I've seen quite a bit of work happening. If you're speaking about housing, for example, in the previous regime, for the past 10 years, they only managed to do about 2,000 units. The ones that ziko pale Ngara, hapo nyuma.
But they didn't take from
Park
the
Road.
people.
Yeah, but think about it.
Yeah.
It came from somewhere. So you might think it wasn't taken from the people, but part of the distress that we're feeling now is because of certain decisions. So I think the way I see administrations, it's either we take from you directly, we onboard you and tell you we're going to take this from your payslip, or we are going to take it in form of debt. Either way, bado kitakuramba as a citizen because, now we are talking about this huge debt bill that we have. But if you think about it now, so far, I've seen maybe the records are maybe at about 8,400 units with 100,000 on the way. I don't think it's a bad thing to eradicate, to dignify the lives of the people who are living kule chini. While yes, it feels expensive to the person who has a payslip, of course. And the other thing which we also must learn as guys who are on this side of Gava is, yes, the macroeconomic situation, which is, if you're thinking, for example, stability of the dollar, that's still on the macroeconomic side. If you're thinking our dollar reserve, for example, we used to have in the previous regime when Ruto was getting in about 6.5 billion. Right now we have it at about 15. Dollar wakiingia, it was like 160. Right now it's stabilized at 129. Part of those measures, as simple as they might seem, just by bringing down the dollar from 160 to 129, it wipes off a clean slate from our debts, where unapata kiwa 160, that's 6.4. If you look at it at 130, it's about 4 point something, 4.8 thereabout. So I think what Kenyans are looking at is they want more relief at the microeconomic level. Now, microeconomic level is where you're talking the bread and butter, the food basket.
And that is what the president actually promised Kenyans.
Yes, but if
that
you
he'll start from the bottom going up.
Clearly.
Yeah. That's why watu wa bottom bado hawajafeel.
But I don't think that's entirely true because ukiangalia, you can't compare life now to what life was in 2021. Tofauti ilikuwa gani? Unga tulikuwa tunabuy, tunareshoniwa.
Unakubaliana na Mbadi the other day akisema kwamba a lot of Kenyans are drinking soda. Alisema a lot of Kenyans are drinking soda.
It shows they have purchasing power. I mean,
there's more money. It looks like there's more because you can't drink soda if you don't have more money.
I mean,
utakula tu chips na kuku kunywa maji uende home. Are you getting?
Of course.
Are you agreeing?
At an economic level, that's like a textbook example for class. But that's what they teach us at business school.
Yeah.
But me now looking at it practically.
Yeah.
If unga was 250, na tulikuwa tunalimitiwa per packet, unaambiwa you can't take more than 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right now you can buy it at 160. You can't say that it's not changed. If you're thinking about the things that from farm to fork, because we are a country that depends very heavily on agriculture, you find that we used to buy fertilizers at 7,500. Right now we get fertilizers at 2,500. So nashangani nani huyo mkulima mdogo aski hiyo impact. You understand? You find things like if you improve a road network, of course transportation of food is going to be cheaper, and then the price at the fork is going to go lower. I've seen a lot of land, and especially this one is it touches close to home, karibu na Homa Bay. About 250,000 acres of land has been rehabilitated, and people are now allowed to farm for rice. People used to get 50 bob for a kilo of coffee. Right now people are getting 120 to 160. Maziwa. Those kinds of things. When I look at it at a gas, a lot of the time, Naskia, yes, while you're claiming that the admin is not doing much, uko chini, gas is relatively cheaper than what it was in the past. So, of course, the stress I feel like a lot of Kenyans are feeling is that they feel like it's burdensome what is being taken from the pay slip. And kila mtu anasikia kwamba iko hivyo. But the bootstrapping that has been done, I think, has been commendable by Treasury so far.
All right. What wanauliza right now, Vision 2060 launched yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
And the president is talking about a national conversation. And he says there's no politics here. There's no one term or two term. This is a national conversation that we must have as a people, and they want to take the conversation everywhere in the country. And the launch didn't have religious leaders. The launch didn't have politicians from the other side. The launch only had pro-government people. Naweza sema kitu kama hicho, and everyone is now asking, is it really a national conversation? If itwa national conversation. Tungeona hata yule jamaa anaombaga Kimasai. Yule sheikh pale, Waislamu wako ndani, Wahindi wako ndani, Christians wako ndani. You know, and even invite other people from the other side of politics. Wakuje pia, you know, at least send an invite or something. What is this about? What do you think this is about?
I think that's, I've seen that analysis being done online, but I don't think it's an entirely fair analysis because it was a public declaration. No, there were no special invitations. You just went, applied through a link. So nobody was there who was handpicked. Everybody was just, who was interested in the conversation went there. I saw our religious leader. I saw Bishop Mark Kariuki was there. I saw children. There were young people who are even not pro-government. Some of the facilitators of the round tables were anti-government people. Like, they are not pro this government. But they put that aside. So I just think that at the higher level, the people who we are calling opposition leaders, hawako wanataka tu kuenda because, of course, people are worried about optics. And that's the thing which I feel really, really hurts our politics, where at some point we have to say that the country is bigger than our individual ambitions and just put it aside and come and say this is what we think in the Kenyan project. Because Vision 2030 is here. And you even saw, if that conversation were not valid, we would not have seen, you know, part of the people, the person who was chairing the committee during Kibaki's time is an old boy of the Alliance High School. Yeah, who used to be, the name's coming and going, used to be the CEO for Telkom, Mugo Kibati. Yes. He was there for the conversation. We saw the leading titan in banking, Mr. James Mwangi, was there. I saw young people from all walks, from us, our side, and from the opposition side. So I think it's just, at some point, we have to stop looking at the country in this toxic 5-year cycle of the election where winner takes it all. And then once you lose, if you lose an election, it goes, no. I think it's retrogressive.
So do you think that the president is now leaving his manifesto that he had promised Kenyans during elections in 2022 and now switching to Vision 2060? And is this his new plan for the country? Because there are other people who are saying, haujamaliza hata manifesto yako, you haven't even done everything that you promised Kenyans you are going to do. So that tayari unatupatia other promises. And there's so many other promises, and people feel like this government is just promising, and it doesn't even get tired of promising.
In all fairness, in 2022, I was an ODM guy. So I skimmed through the UDA manifesto scantily. But let's look at some of the things that they promised. They promised that they would give us affordable housing. Affordable housing, the government has done about 8,000 and something units so far, with 164,000 in construction. They promised that they would take care of the people kule chini at the microeconomic level.
Yeah.
First thing they did, unga ilitoka huko pale ilikuwa 250, sasa imekuja 160. Of course, some of them you have to make grandiose political proclamations, but gas is not retailing where it used to retail. That's just part of the examples. If you look at the education sector, for example, President Kibaki and President Uhuru combined in 20 years of leadership only hired about 50,000 teachers in total over 20 years. President Ruto in 4 years has hired 116,000 teachers. So we can't say that they're not doing anything. If you're thinking about roads, a lot of the hype right now on Onem and Yopande or Western. If you just think about the things that are happening there, Buhungu Stadium, Barabara ya Western, Kakamega level 6, is it Butere Hospital level 4, Masinde airstrip, forgotten this other, the 2 airstrips that are being done around that area. Those are not things which you can say that they've not been done. If you're looking at the road network in Nyanza actually for a very long time had been neglected, and that's why you see that a lot of them are now leaning pro-government. There's a lot of roadworks being done there. The Muro Pier, we've seen, it's a place which will allow the fishing economy, the blue economy close to the lake to thrive. We've seen a lot of advancements even in terms of hospitals, in terms of the airstrips that are there. Here in the entire country, you would say, for example, is a construction site. And sijaona ubaguzi, because sometimes people might say, for example, the mountain has slipped, but he's still courting the mountain. So I can't say that he has not achieved his manifesto. The man is at probably 74% of his manifesto, which
For
I
real?
think
74%?
I would give it 74.
For real?
I'd give it 74. Of course, some of the challenges that we have seen around the area of human rights, those are places which I have sort of disagreed with this government because it's a touchy subject. But if you think about even administrations past, bloggers used to potea. You know, there's a time people used to update their things on Facebook and say, I am for completing the journey with Uhuru. That was in 2000 and there's a time where everybody, the country, before the handshake in 2018, 2019, thereabout, a lot of these issues will call for a national conversation where we stop looking at it as an individual.
Okay.
If you're thinking injustices, especially hapo kwa human rights, we have to look at it from that TJRC and WACI and Kriegler reports, all the reports that have been formulated, because various people have various pain points. And I think maybe later we'll start discussing the more local politics of the upcoming guys split on ODM. But if you think about it, if we take it back to 1963 to 69, a sitting president went to a rally and just had people spray about 150 people with bullets. Do you know how crazy that is?
In Kenya?
In Kenya, in Kisumu. The Luo community now is still crying. Wachana na hiyo. There was something called the Wagala massacre, which was state sanctioned.
I remember that.
In their thousands, young men from the northeastern, and that's why I never entertain this nonsense of people trying to make it look like Somalis are not Kenyans. Of course, there are a few people who might want to take advantage of it, but the Kushites have really built. They've built this. It pains me to see that people now, when they're contributing to the economy, they are part of Kenyans. But then when it's something else, we want to lump them. People are lined up kwa lami na wakapigwa risasi. You push it forward kidogo. We have not talked about the assassinations, because remember, these are not only happening to one community, it's happening throughout the communities. You go to post-election, about 1,000 and something people killed, 1,500 killed, hundreds of thousands displaced. Actually, I was displaced during the post-election violence. Unapata, how come this is the best president and they couldn't secure a second term? You understand? Now you move forward from that, you find like in a baby Pendo, you find the up until very recently in 2023, when Raila's car is being shot 10 times, and then now you get to Gen Z where 60 young people were killed by the police. So these are not things which we can lump onto just one administration. We just have to come nationally and say that we have to review and revise our police culture. We have to revise and review all these kinds of things.
Right.
So that's how I look at it from the point of injustice.
Shikilia, we're coming back in a short while. We take a short break right now. I want to take you to Panari Nyahururu. Check out this video. That's what's up. That's Panare Nyahururu. Anytime you want to go to Nyahururu and you want to find a place where unaweza kuwa umetulia pale, take some time off, kama ni team building, kama ni too romantic, getaway, unakwenda pale na mtu wako, mna enjoy family, everything. They have everything at Panare Nyahururu. Visit them, please, na uambie MTV wamekutuma na utaenjoy. Now, Kasmuel, wanasema opposition kwamba mnataka kubadilisha katiba. This whole national conversation, there's nothing like national conversation. Ni katiba mnataka kubadilisha, mmuongezee rais term yake ya kuongoza katika taifa lake. There's no national... And if it were a national conversation, then it should have started from the people. Hii inaanzia State House, alafu mnaletea watu mnaambia hii ni national conversation. Why are you the ones starting it? Are you getting? Ni katiba mnataka kubadilisha?
Hapana.
Si maneno yangu.
No, ni kweli. I've seen that as well in the public. But,
And we'll keep this video, eh?
Yes.
This response you have here.
This particular one.
This particular one. When we actually have a referendum, nitakutumia in fact.
Si hivi. Na ndivyo naona nivi. We are about 363 days to the next general elections.
It's true.
So people are looking at propaganda from every angle. And they are spinning a video which President William Ruto was saying that we should not be in a position where it's an option that people it's a suggestion that people go for public participation. He said that it is a right that people must be involved in public participation. And the president was just misquoted on that. And if anything, sisi unajua tuko confident to go into an election. Why would we need a referendum to extend a president's term? Rais hajasema anataka more than what is constitutionally due to him. But if anything, for example, there are certain parts of the constitution which we might want to clarify. And the only way you clarify a constitution is through a referendum.
All right. So a referendum is coming?
No. I'm not saying that it's coming. But even if it were to come, which I don't think is a bad thing, we need a bit more specificity in areas like... you've seen there's been contestations around the presidential term.
Yeah.
Where there was a court, was it in Malindi?
Yes, in Malindi,
said that ideally there's some petitioners who got a ruling at the High Court that the election should have been this year, past Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution says every Tuesday of every fifth year, the second Tuesday of August, the 8th month in every fifth year.
Yeah.
We could clarify that because the same constitution, ukienda pale chini kwa terms MCAs, nasema an MCA will serve for 5 years. So to get rid of such kinds of confusion.
Okay, and bring some clarity there.
Yes, just to clarify. And then remember, this constitution is a really romantic document. That's why people who say that constitutionalism, and I used to be one of those people, that ukatiba ni agenda. Ukatiba si agenda. It was a document that was supposed to bring healing to a country that was so polarized. Remember, at the time, there's even Pwani si Kenya. There was several. We were coming from a period of deep pain. We are just recovering from post-election violence. So it's a very hefty document that, of course, bado haijatekelezwa in kikamilifu.
Yeah.
In its entirety, it's still not yet been achieved. But I don't think a referendum is... Anybody could institute a referendum. All you need is a million signatures. So if you can mobilize that, you can go for a referendum. And there's been times when the state has lost the referendum. If anything, if you remember, watu wa Ndizi walishindwa. That's how ODM gets birthed.
It's true.
Yes.
Watu wa Chungwa wakashinda.
Yes. So if the citizens, for example, if the government institutes a referendum and the citizens say this is a bad referendum, there is no way a government can subvert the will of the people.
All right.
It is not possible.
All right.
So nobody wants to change the constitution, much less the president, because we are confident that we will be re-elected as members of the Broadbase government.
Are you? Confident?
Mimi niko confident kabisa.
Haukuona Olkalau?
Olkalau. So
haukuona vile mulifanya Olkalau?
So if we think about
Olkalau imeleta another picture.
But if you think about it, I have a different view on Olkalau. Olkalau, first of all, was not UDA's to lose. Because Engineer Kiaraho was a member of Jubilee.
All right.
So hiyo kiti huwezi sema ni UDA ilipoteza. Ilikuwa kiti ya Jubilee. So ni kiti tu ilikuwa hapo kwa opposition. And two, you cannot convert 100% of the votes even in your backyard. Baba, who was the biggest politician I've ever seen in this country, unajua Siaya alikuwa ananyoroshwa kwa kaunti yake. There's an MP mwenye si wa ODM. Ametunyorosha consistently throughout his terms. Huo mjama David anaitwa David Ochieng. Kuna party inaitwa MDG. Huyo mtu amenyorosha ODM hapo Siaya mbaya. That is Baba's backyard. Yes. So you can't get 100%. But if you think about
it's probably
it,
because
out of 10 elections,
yeah,
we have won 9. So you can't tell us that this one is the biggest lesson. Out of 10 by-elections, tulichukua 9. Yeah.
All right.
So why is I'm looking at it? We can learn from these 9. Of
All
course,
right.
there are lessons to be taken from the 10th one, but I wouldn't major on it. Uwezi pata mtu, the last person Leona alipata 90-something% watu walizusha sana ni rais wa Tanzania.
Oh yes,
Yeah, even
yes.
if you're winning, you can't. We will win, of course, by a margin, but we won't get 90%.
You're sure you will win by a margin?
Absolutely certain.
Naivasha the other day and ODM wakaweka mambo yao mbele. Wakasema sisi tunataka DP na tunataka 50%.
Yes.
DP and 50%. What does that mean to someone like Honorable Kindiki? And because I hear you guys and the leadership says Kindiki Simbaya, he's a good person, and he's a good leader, but tunataka DP. Na tunataka 50%. And then what does that mean also to other political parties? Because Kenya Kwanza sio UDA na ODM peke yake. Kenya Kwanza has a lot of other political parties ambao ni part of this government. Why is it that ODM feels they should get half of the government? Do you mean you want to say like UDA igawanye na hizo zama zingine zote, 50%, and then ODM ibakie na 50%, which means you actually are the ones wenye wana shares mingi zaidi, if I was to put it that way?
I'd look at it and say the only reason we are confident and can speak like that is we have the numbers. Even in parliament, ukiangalia that joint parliamentary group, ilileta close to 350 legislators out of a house that has, it was a simple majority. It's about 80% of the legislative house. And I don't think it's a wild ask for ODM to say they want 50% of government or the deputy president slot. We've already agreed that our presidential candidate will be Dr. William Samoei Ruto. But just think about the contributions we have made. In 2023, 2024, we used to be on the streets for finance bills. Look at the bills for 25 and 26. And even the president acknowledges that Mheshimiwa Mbadi has done quite a great job in that sector. Think about the work that Waziri Joho is doing in the blue economy. I'll give you one example of like Magadi. There's a little town called Magadi. Ukipita huko nyuma, then you teremka past Kiserian, you go down that road. I had the good fortune of living there after post-election. It used to be a flourishing company, but now it's a dilapidated town because the company that's been doing the mining of soda ash have just taken advantage of the community. I've never seen someone who's bold enough to close down a company and say that, apana, we are revoking the licenses until you sort out this Magadi soda story. So you find that, and that is a wrong that was done during Kibaki's time. But 10 years plus, nobody was brave enough to confront it until Joho comes into office because the lease was supposed to expire Kitambo. Then Kibaki added them 50 extra years. So then, of course, you're defrauding the locals because you think they do not understand and you're taking the land. Ideally, you're supposed to build amenities in terms of corporate social responsibility. So ensure there's school, for example, there's good housing, and there's hospitals. But then it's just a dilapidated town. If 3 of our guys have done that much lifting, it's not an outrageous ask, because I look at it and now when you get into tribal arithmetic, for example, watu wamekuwa kiongelea mambo ya Murima, umesema mambo ya shares, nikakumbuka Rigiji. If you're talking about shares, yeye anasema kuna mlima yote. If you combine the population of his community, it comes to 17% of the entire Kenyan population.
17%.
17%.
Okay.
But in cabinet, wakona 32% of the slots in cabinet. So it's still an unfair representation. So that's what I'm looking at and saying that people are negotiating in terms, because we want to capture power. It's a pre-election pact. The more the merrier. If more parties come in and they have the exact same force or vigor that they can do to balloon our win. Of course, you will find ways to negotiate. But right now, ODM is confident that we'll retain most of our parliamentary seats. We'll even gain new entrants. And that's why we're saying, just to administer the country better, let's now have a proper pre-election pact. And instead of going to the post-election agreements that we're always doing.
You know, when you talk about winning even more political seats and retaining the ones you have right now, you know very well that akina Sifuna wametoka na watu wao. You know, akina Sifuna, already Sifuna is an ODM member. I mean, was an ODM senator. I mean, aitwa nani, akina Caleb Amisi ni wa ODM, akina Babu Owino, ODM, Vihiga Senator, ODM, you know, and so many others. So those are seats you're not retaining. I'm imagining if they were to win again, those are seats you're not retaining.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, a lot of political analysts wanasema kwamba Sifuna inakaa, hata wao wenyewe wanasema, tumetoka na ODM na members wote wamebaki na chama.
This will make me very
when you go to Western today, and I have had interviews with a few people from Western, wanakwambia, if you were to speak, for example, today katika mazishi au matanga, first of all, you have to say sisi ni Sifuna. You know, then people will actually listen to you. Otherwise, people will even walk out from that matanga or that thing. So a lot of leaders have to actually mention something about, show their support somehow. The other day, Tifa report ilitoka ikashow kwamba Sifuna is currently the leader from Western, ambao watu wa Western wanamsikiliza zaidi. Amewashinda kina Wetangula, amewashinda kina Mudavadi. Hizi ni sisi gani you're talking about when already Western inaonekana kama ambaye ishaenda sisi ni Sifuna?
Mambo ya Sifuna hakuna bana. No, of course people want to.
Hakuna.
People will hate, but what I'll tell you, mtakwambia peupe. Last year, I told the country that we would kick him out as Secretary General. And I was the first young person who I said that this guy is speaking contrary to the party. And people mocked me for it, but he's no longer the Secretary General. You're talking about like seats that we're losing. Out of 80 MPs that we have, tumepoteza wangapi? Watano. Tumepoteza nani? Sifuna, Osotsi, Amisi, Babu, Kibagendi, Onyonka, nani mwingine? Wamboka probably, hata huyo sidhani kama ni wetu. But 5-6 seats. If you think about it, hao ni watu wenye, apart from Amisi, hao ni watu wenye bila ODM hawangetoboa. Caleb Amisi is the one I can give some credit and say, hey, alipigana hapo kwa kipali yako. But then some of these things which you're telling us, we've not lost
Babu
any votes.
Owino unasema bila ODM angetoboa?
Babu is a friend I respect, but he also understands the value of the party. Kwamba kama bila hiyo tiketi ya ODM hange retain seat yake ya ubunge.
Well, right now they are not in ODM,
is what
I
I'm
must
saying.
say.
Yeah, but
look at what they've done without ODM.
you see, but these are great people who've been made by the ODM. You remember even Sifuna's story. When he decided to vie in Kandui, he couldn't make it until ODM gave him a mercy seat in Nairobi as a senator. Na si ati alikuwa na watu, alikuwa na campaign kwa gari ya polisi, anadandia presidential campaign. A lot of them, you can't say that they've been entirely self-made. There's no one who's entirely self-made in politics. A lot of these people, they owe their patronage from the party. So when I say I'm confident that there are no numbers they've gone with, huwezi niambia that ODM impoteza mtu Trans Nzoia. Hatuna kiti, hata bunge, hata MCA hatuna.
In Trans Nzoia?
Hatuna. So you can't threaten us that now when you get a big rally around there that we've won, that you've taken people from ODM. You've not taken anyone from ODM. Ukiangalia, and I can assure you, I've said this, I said this before and I'll say it again. If you think you're bigger than the party, I dare them. Wafanye vile our founding father alifanya. Unajiuzulu, si uko na watu. You seek a fresh mandate. Si by-elections imehappen, hata juzi tumekuwa na by-election. But hawezi toka. These seats that they're holding, these people are holding them courtesy of ODM. This ODM that they're mocking right now. And the reason why I was saying...
Sifuna angetoka akawania tena Senate na akapata Nairobi.
Hawezi. Si anachochwa Kenya mzima. Kwa nini si asijiuzulu?
Sifuna leo akijiuzulu Nairobi hatapewa.
Tulishamalizana na yeye tukamuondoa katika
Ashindane na Jalas.
Yes, tukamtimua hata na Jalas before then. Because what they're doing right now is illegal if you're to think about it constitutionally. Ni kama wale watu wanavanga hizo manguo za green. If you're elected on a party, the moment you defect, you're supposed to lose your seat and you go and seek a fresh mandate. Hata mtu alishinda Olkalausi alikuwa tu mtu wa UDA. He was the UDA candidate for 2022. Yes, is now the current whatever. A guy like Sifuna mbona nakwambia hizo polls mimi azitubabaishi at all. And this I would want the leaders. Now you'll allow me to speak kidogo to localize my politics. The Luo leaders who are following that movement have to be very careful and learn and see what Sifuna is doing. Utaipata Sifuna amesimama pahali anatukana ma-DVD, utampata pahali anatukana Weta, hata akienda kwa rally anaomba mibaraka ya Oparanya. But sasa sisi hawa watu wetu wengine, the few people we have as a community, akina Raymond Omolo, who has been is one of the most consequential leaders that young leaders that I've seen in Luo Nyanza. And that one, he's a force to reckon with. And I'm saying this having seen Raymond when I was still on the streets, and even after that. He's a very respectful person. You sit down with him and it's a man you can battle with in minds. The amount of work he's doing in the communities for the widows, for registration, for dignifying the interior, the national government coordinating agencies, he's doing such a great job. Every press conference, you will not find his name out of those people's mouths. Gladys Wanga, governor for Homa Bay, and also the chairperson for ODM. Every press conference, kila kitu now they're saying, oh, sijui Wanga anawapangia and whatever. All these people, you find them insulting Oburu. And the reason why I was even telling you that Akuna Pali Sifuna ataenda, he did something which was very reckless. He insulted our party leader for his failing eyesight. And he revealed what he actually felt about Baba, because Dr. Oburu is just a year ahead of Baba. And Baba in his last year, we all know he was not in his strongest. So he just revealed to us that this is what you feel about it. Sasa sisi tutaenda to capitalize on kura ya wazee. You know, even in our culture, in Achieng' Oneko, one of the freedom fighters, Kapenguria 6, he wrote in his book, in our community, you might deny an elder everything, even food, but you cannot deny him respect. So now we've looked at it as a community, and we've said, if this is what you're thinking about our senior most political leader, we don't know what you think about us and whatnot. But even the people he has associated himself with, like vicious tribalists, unapata msichana alikuwa anasema, like someone should just wipe out the people who are attending a president's wedding in Kilgoris and whatnot. And these are things, people wish death upon Baba. If that's the team you've surrounded yourself with, we lose no sleep over that. Hizo numbers anasema are from ODM. Pauline si wa ODM. And you are Jubilee. A lot of the people that he's running around with are not from ODM. Siku yenye nitaona Simba Arati ameingia rally ya Linda Mwananchi, then nitaanza kusema, tuko kwa shida kama chama. Siku ndaona Gladys Wanga ameingia pale kwa podium, ama nimeona Abdul Swamad, nimeona hapo sasa Junet Mohamed amesema kitu yenyu vile naona wacha niende Linda Mwananchi. When I start see, nikiona Joho amesema hii kitu sitoboi, nikiona OP ametoka hapo amesema sasa mimi nataka kusimama na kijana yetu ya Western, then I'll take it seriously.
There was a time OP had an issue kidogo. No, there's a time he had an issue kidogo pale.
Everyone has issues, but issues are meant to be resolved. That's the whole thing. We welcome dialogue. We don't agree even amongst ourselves 100%. But we sit down and we say, what is the strategic compromise that we can make? And say that this is what it is. So,
are you guys playing catch up kind of politics and stuff? Because when you're talking about Oparanya, for example, akina Sifuna were in Western, doing their rounds around Western, and it was quite a successful tour politically, I must say, in terms of numbers and stuff. And then immediately before he got to Bungoma, there's another rally happening in Kakamega ya kudeclare kwamba Oparanya ndo tunamtaka kuwe DP as Sifuna goes back home to Bungoma. You know, the other day, Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa anatoa press statement ya 4 years, the President Ruto. The same time, Kimani Ichung'wah, majority leader, Sakumi, na yeye pia anatoa 4 years za President Ruto.
Hata sisi as young
Can you
people-
say that opposition imewapeleka mbio mpaka saizi ni ku-catch up tu?
Hakuna mbio yenye tumepelekwa na opposition. I'm just thinking that, of course, the perception is that watu wanaweza kuwa kihema. But part of what we've decided as guys in Broadbase is we cannot sit silent any longer. You know, a lie travels around the world 1,000 times before even truth has time to get its pants on. So it's just about dispelling disinformation, misinformation, and malinformation. For a lot of the time, tumewaachia tu hivyo. People go ahead with propaganda. Unajua unasimama, unauliza rais wako mtarajiwa, what is their plan with ensuring that people have the dignity in terms of the right to housing. Anakuambia kuku hawezi enda 12th floor. I mean, it's very retrogressive and backward thinking. You ask him about, for example, the economic policy, and instead of even giving you a basic overview of the macros and micros and even how he intends to handle debts, anaongelea to like slashing salaries and saying you're unatoa pilferage. You know, even if you just solidify that, you cannot even fund education with that money. Like, what is the plan that we're supposed to buy into? These are people who, for example, do not have that plan. So what we're doing is we're ensuring that for far too long, we've left the propaganda. They've been winning the propaganda war. Now, as we've said, no, tell me for sure that the stadium has not been done. Tell me for sure that there are no people working on Rironi Mau Summit. Tell me for sure that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital in Kisumu was not brought up now to a proper referral hospital with extra funding. Tell me, what I'll say is I won't sit here and say, oh, you know, this person good, this person bad. No, I am saying that here, children, for example, used to not have meals in school, but now there are meals that are being given in school at very subsidized cost. You see, for example, Nairobi is doing five shillings, and they're even expanding into day secondary schools. Tell us, what is the counter to that? Because you can't tell me that you want Kibra to remain a slum forever. You want Mukuru to remain a slum forever. What is your plan against that? And you're telling us, no, you know, we're just tunashikana tu kwanza ndio tutoe Ruto. But we'll find ourselves in this exact problem if we do not find people who have a true agenda. If your only agenda is to remove an individual and you've not cleaned up parliament, kwa sababu tuseme hata which in 1,000 years will not happen, until we've lost the presidency, we'll still have the majority in parliament. Wakimbiza sana.
As UDA and ODM.
Yes, and UDA, that's the Broadbase team, will still have the majority in parliament. Sasa tutakuwa kazi tutakaa hivi tunasema hapana, ukimess up kidogo impeach the presidency.
Alafu sasa kuna uwezo pia wa president pia kuwachukua tu member of parliament kuingia tu kwa presidency, because that happens all the time.
Kutoboa utatoboa kwa sababu
unaona ODM wameingia tu kwa government. I mean, they were the competitors, so
I see what you mean.
You expect every election period that happens. Mtakuwa na majority, but then again your presidency itawaongelesha, mtavuka tu mtaingia.
But sisi ndio tutakuwa na presidency in 2027, a year from now. It's uncomfortable for people to hear, but Ruto anakula 2 term just by sheer organization.
Have you seen what is happening in Mount Kenya, McOure? Because of Mount Kenya,
anapoteza kura ngapi?
Governors are going to DCP.
Sawa.
Gigi Kagombe, my friend, the other day, Pia.
Let's run the numbers.
You know what Gigi Kagombe told me before he moved? He told me, Mwakideu, right now as we speak, Mount Kenya, you're either DCP or you just go do your business. Do your own business. Mount Kenya have 5.7 million votes, according to what I saw the other day in the newspapers. 5.7 million votes. If they vote the way they usually vote...
But you see, that's Mount Kenya. That's Mount Kenya.
That's
Mount Kenya when you include Nakuru. But let's give it to them. Mount Kenya East.
And then
Mount Kenya East kwenye Kindiki anatoka, where there's Tharaka Nithi. There's about 1 point something in Mount Kenya East, 1.5. Alafu tutafute ile 1.5 yenye walipatia baba. Hiyo 1.5 yenye tulipata bado iko hapo. Hata akipoteza ngapi, we still have about 2 million in that mountain.
Really?
Yes.
Mount Kenya, 2 million?
We have 1.8 to 2 million votes in that mountain.
Western?
The thing I really like about the president is hajanunua hii propaganda ya watu kumwambia wachana na mlima. And I really, really admire that about him. Because most presidents would have given up. He would have gone with the Moi approach. You know, Moi won 2 elections without the mountain. So there's nothing messianic about the mountain. But the thing I love about President Ruto has said, regardless of what these people are telling me, regardless of what political pundits are trying to say, he still quotes that mountain. because yeye anasema yeye ndio anajua vile uhusiano wao ilikuwa formed. If you're thinking about Western, all ODM strongholds tutampatia. Busia is for the president. Kakamega is for the president. Bungoma silently is for the president. If you think about it, if you go to a political rally, you would say that you would think that it's only opposition that has. Have you seen the kind of crowds that Didmas Barasa is pulling? Same Western. Like it is kudanganye. People usually show a video of Didmas akipatia watu pesa. Vile anawapatia publicly. Every political rally in this country is mobilized by money. There are no organic crowds in politics. Patia Luo Nyanza tunampatia kikapu mzima. Kisii, there's a bit of interesting dynamics because of the Matiang'i factor. But eventually, I think Kisii will yield because I'm seeing the way it's going. Coast, kunako Super CS Joho, kienda mobilize kule chini. I saw yesterday people were trying to make pushback and say, oh, sijui Moha, for whatever. So the ladies came out and said, sisi tulikupigia kura lakini pale kwa rais. We have a whole team thinking about Northeastern. Kikapu yote ni ya rais. Pale bonde la ufa. Kula bonde mzima. So what are the swing zones? If you toa mountain, toa Kambani, Nairobi. Watu walikuwa na si hata zote. There's still a bit of votes there. My prediction is tutararua opposition with at the very least 350,000.
At the very least.
Yeah.
What does McOure want?
Personally, I'm still young and I'm still learning my way in politics. So saizi is just to ensure that the third liberation that we were looking for as ODM, we got the first liberation as a country when we got multi-party democracy. We got our second liberation. Of course, now I'm not looking at it on a national level. Of course, there was when the colonialists left, then we got multi-party self-governance, then we got multi-party democracy, then we got a new constitution.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at economic liberation of our people. It's not a matter of what I want as an individual, but what can we achieve for the greater good collectively? Because I'm still fairly young, man.
All right. So you're not going for any seat in 2027?
At least not yet. Not yet. But if the party sees that, kijana ametosha, tunataka uende pale, utaniona kwa campaign vehicle.
All right.
Saizi, I'm just yielding myself to working for the party.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your last take? Ukiangalia ile camera?
Man, I think we just have to be honest. We have to be honest and to take care that we do not descend into the tribalism that I'm seeing. I think it's a very dangerous slope because some of the outrage, for example, if you see it, people are trying to beat the drums of ethnic war. That sometimes it's bad. And I've seen this as a Luo. I can only speak in my capacity as a Luo. There are certain things which it feels like you're not allowed to do as a Luo, that the only valuable Luo body is a dead one. So people will wait for you to die so that they can celebrate you. But when you're alive, you take all the flack. Think about people like Tomboy, people like Robert Ouko. The Luo body is best viewed in this country in nostalgia. Baba was called a Mogoroki his entire life, or called all sorts of names, Mganga, Kehe. But then when he dies, becomes a statesman we never had. So I keep on saying, and I keep warning our leaders, it cannot be that, for example, when you're looking for political expediency, it's only a Luo body that has to be put in front of a gun. I don't know how much more blood is needed for us for people to stamp their authority. I never see a lot of these people, other people dying. But in a rally, if you're going to identify a body, probably their second name starts with an O. And that's why I keep on saying that we have to move away from that politics of confrontation. It's gotten to a point where, as a community, we found a president who's willing to partner with us and partner with the entire country. So now we cannot now go back to the streets to look for something that we already here. We have it now. If we vote wisely, as people usually accuse us of not voting, and we know we have 1 million new votes, 1 million to 2 million new votes in Luo Nyanza. So that's why I'm very confident that we are going to do well. If you look at other regions, there have been some dead voters who have remained on the IEBC register. We are going to win. So we have to be patient. And anybody who tries to mess with our gems, I think that is a person who we should just shun. Anybody who wants to impress other people at the expense of the development and well-being of the community, I think that is a person who does not want the best for us. But as a country, we ought to now put the national interest ahead of personal interest. And as much as I I wish our friends in the opposition the best. We're going to beat them in this election, but the thing that's going to be different is it's not going to be a zero-sum game. I believe that we're entering a new dispensation of the Kenyan political administrative framework that will allow us to see beyond a 5-year cycle and just bring people together. And I think the best person to do that is none other than President William Samoei Ruto.
Kasmuel McOure, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is AMTV. Doesn't get better than this. Inafanyikaga tu hapa. Every time, every day. Down here, AMTV. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Asante sana, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man.
And I wish you all the best.
Really, really appreciate it.
Shukran sana. See you on the next one. I'm your chairman, Alex Mwakideo.